An annual budget is a plan that forecasts your income and expenses for the next year. Basically, it's a monthly budget times 12. An annual budget allows you to allocate your income effectively. You'll be able to identify any potential issues, and it will definitely help you to achieve your financial goals. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to create your own annual budget. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Layla. I'm a financial coach as well as a YouTuber who talks about all things personal finance. I would really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already to support this channel. I create an annual budget every single December. I've actually shown my annual budget for years here on this YouTube channel. It's also something that I do with my clients. It kind of sounds overwhelming, but I promise you it is actually quite simple to create an annual budget. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create your own. And it's a tool that I think is very helpful when planning out your year, setting your financial goals, all those things. To create an annual budget, using pen and paper is fine, but I strongly recommend using spreadsheets so you can have some calculations automatically calculate for you. You'll also need an idea of your income for the year, so for the entire year, and you can use your net income or your gross income. I will talk about that more in just a moment. You'll also want an idea of your expenses on a monthly basis or throughout the year, including your minimum debt payments. And then you will want to know what your financial goals are for the year as well. If you're not sure how to set financial goals, check out this video. It will also be linked down below in my description box. I do have a free spreadsheet that you can get that is also linked down below in my description box, but if this is something that you're doing on your own, on a spreadsheet, on paper, whatever it is that you're using, you'll want room at the top for your income. You'll then want room for all of your expenses throughout the year, and you'll be able to, add things in. So just make sure there's plenty of room for that. You'll want space for totaling up all of those expenses. And then you'll also want to take the difference between the sum of all of your expenses subtracted from your income. And I will explain this in more detail as I go. Now, to be honest, the more data that you have, the more data you have on your spending throughout the last few months or the last year even, the easier this will be. I literally track every single dollar that I spend on a monthly basis, and then I also have an annual tracker to keep it all together in one, and that really helps with creating my annual budget. So this is something that you could start going into the new year. If you don't have any of that data, you can go back and look at things from the last 3 months or so, the last 6 months or so, and get a better picture that way. Or I at least recommend creating a budget for the upcoming month. If you have no clue how to create a budget, I of course have videos on this too. I have one video for people who prefer to use pen and paper, and then I have another video for people who may prefer to use something like Google Sheets. I will have both of those linked down below as well. I also recommend creating and filling out something called Year at a Glance. This is actually an idea from one of my very first clients, so shout out to Lynn if she is watching this. This is something that she created on her own while we were working together. This was like back in 2020. And ever since she created that, it is something I started using for myself and then for all of my clients going forward. It's a great tool for when you're creating your monthly budget and also determining any sort of sinking funds that you should create, but it's also going to be helpful when planning for the whole year. It's a very simple template, but that will be included in the free annual budget template that I have linked down below. And with the Year at a Glance, you'll want to plug in any expenses that are kind of unusual or things that you can easily forget or just something you want to remember, as well as how much you expect those things to cost. So for example, my car insurance is going to be renewing in April. So underneath April, I would write car insurance and $800 because I would expect it to be about $800. Another example, my sister's birthday is in October. So I write her name, birthday, and then $100 because that's about what I expect to spend on her birthday. You do not need to list every single expense that you expect for every single month. You're gonna wanna list things like annual expenses, subscriptions or memberships that you pay for yearly, holidays, birthdays, any other celebrations, trips that you're taking, car insurance, your car registration, credit card annual fees, so on and so forth. This Year at a Glance will help to ensure you don't forget things for the year when you're creating your annual budget. Now that you've got all the pre-work out of the way, we are moving on to actually creating the annual budget. So step number 1 is starting with your income. What do you expect your income to be for the whole year? If you're not sure what to expect for your income for the year, either go with the lowest amount you expect to receive or your goal income. So that's something that I did. Y'all know that going into 2025, my goal income is $120,000. I don't know if I will earn that income, but that's what I'm aiming for. Also, when it comes to listing your income, you want to determine if you want to use your net income or your gross income. Personally, I like to use my gross income because I like to see how much I would be putting to any of my deductions. So like my 401k, health insurance, and so on. Step number 2 is to list your necessary or absolute expenses and how much you expect them to cost. So we're going to get the necessities out of the way first because typically there's no way around that, and it's also the easiest numbers to come up with. So this includes anything that is necessary for you to live your life, keep yourself alive and your family, that sort of thing. So for example, if your rent is $1,600 per month, then you can go ahead and put rent 1,600 times 12. And that's how much you're paying in rent for the whole year. And be sure to include any increases if necessary. For any of your utility bills, take the average that you're paying for them. You can separate them out if you want to or lump them all together. I would take the average, round it up, and then multiply by 12. You're going to want to do the same thing with minimum debt payments, childcare costs, subscriptions and memberships you have that you know that you are keeping, groceries, gas for your car insurance, etc. And like I was saying before, if you don't have data, some of these numbers can be tough to come up with. That's why you want to look at your upcoming budget or look back at any data that you can collect from the past. But for some of these, you're going to just have to put in what you expect. So if you're thinking, okay, I want to budget $600 per month for groceries, then you're going to do 600 times 12. If you're not too sure what your car insurance is going to cost, then go with what it typically costs you, multiply that by 12, and then you can add in 100 or 200 extra bucks if you think it will possibly be more. Step number 3 is to list your priorities, and this includes your goals for the year, your financial goals for the year. So maybe a priority for you is traveling this year and you want to take X amount of trips and you have those planned out. Maybe you haven't booked the hotels or booked the flights or anything like that, but it's something that you absolutely want to happen in the year. So that's something that you're going to want to list on there. Travel, how much you expect it to cost for everything that you need to pay for. I would go with a higher number just to be on the safe side. Do you want to max out your Roth IRA? Okay, if you're making this for 2025, the max contribution is $7,000. So Roth IRA, $7,000. Same with your 401k. Do you want to max that out, or do you have a goal number that you want to hit for contributions to your 401k? Put 401k, $23,500. That's the max for 2025. So of course, put whatever the max is for the year that you're creating this for. If one of your goals is to pay down $10,000 of debt, okay, debt, $10,000. Or is it that you want to save $10,000? So now you're going to put savings, $10,000, and then you're going to continue that for any goals that you have, any priorities of yours. And at this point, if you're using the spreadsheet, you'll be able to see the difference as you're adding in numbers, and you could already be negative, but just don't worry about that for now. We will come back to that difference and adjust as needed. Step number 4, list everything else. List all of your other expenses. This would include things like personal spending, fun and entertainment, food out, gifts, donations, health or beauty expenses that maybe aren't necessary, etc. On the free spreadsheet that I have linked down below in my description box, there's also a tab with budget categories. So just be sure to double check that. Make sure you're including all the things that you could possibly spend money on in the year. You can put a category for miscellaneous spending. It's something that I try to discourage. I really think that everything you spend money on can be categorized. Miscellaneous, in my opinion, is a bit too broad, but if you feel like you just want to be on the safe side and add in a little bit of a cushion, then you can go ahead and pop in a miscellaneous category and how much you expect to spend there. Once you feel like you have everything listed, go ahead and move on to the next step. Step number 5 is to look at the difference between your total expenses from your total income and adjust if necessary. I'll be honest, this part can be a little bit upsetting because you may have to make some sacrifices. If the difference between your expenses and your income is greater than 0, then great. You can either leave things as they are, or you can now allocate some money for the year to any of your financial goals or whatever it is that you want to put your money to. So making extra debt payments, saving, investing, or even spending if you wanted to. If the difference is less than 0, you have a negative number, then you will have to adjust things. And basically, you'll want to work backwards through the steps. So could you cut out some personal spending? Could you cut out some fun and entertainment? You'll also want to think about, is it even realistic for you to cut back on the things that you're trying to cut back on? You know, if you think of your own spending habits, will you actually cut back on the things that you are starting to eliminate from your annual budget? You may even have to cut out a goal or two. So if you set all these financial goals, you wanted to max out your Roth IRA, save 10,000, pay off 10,000 of debt, all these different things, think of what is top priority to you. And, you know, maybe it's your debt, maybe it's that savings, and you're going to have to eliminate contributing 7,000 to your Roth IRA. And that is completely okay. It really comes down to what is top priority for you and if those changes are even realistic. So just be honest with yourself as you're making those adjustments. The goal with step number 5 is to get the value next to difference either equal to 0 or above 0. So now you should have your annual budget and you can kind of see what to expect as far as your finances go for the entire year. Something I like to do is divide all the numbers by 12 because that's what you can kind of expect on a monthly basis. Obviously, every month looks a little bit different. So moving forward, I strongly encourage you to create a monthly budget and then track your spending throughout the month. Then you'll have all of this data for how you're actually spending your money, and you can check in quarterly on your annual budget just to see how things are going. I recommend at least checking in after 6 months, and then you can create your annual budget again the following December. Your annual budget will never be perfect, but it's definitely a great way to see what to expect for the entire year. And it's also something that I've found kind of decreases stress around finances with my clients and even with myself. So try it out. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions, but otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one.